मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
In the news tonight, employees investigated for alleged immoral behavior. Lambasa couple recount COVID-19 ordeal. And Sudelpa to appeal High Court judgment.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Smith.
Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama has advised all Fijians to take heed of the weather situation. In a strongly worded message, Bainimarama says, given the current conditions, no Fijian should take any risks. Venina Rakautonga reports the rainy conditions will continue until the weekend.
The country should brace itself for adverse weather throughout the week.
I want to strongly reiterate those warnings to every Fijian watching. These rains and the resulting flooding can kill. Do not swim in rivers or streams or risk crossing the rapids.
So the rain that is being brought by the trough has been slow moving over us for the last couple of days. And with that as well, the trough is expected to remain slow moving for us again for the next couple of days.
Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama says this is exactly when parents and guardians need to be most vigilant.
All too often, we see Fijians, particularly children, drown in these conditions. These aren't the same waters you used to crossing, so don't treat them the same way you do on any ordinary day. They are unpredictable. They can carry heavy debris, and they are deadly.
The heavy rains extend to the eastern and interior parts of Viti Levu and outer maritime islands in the Lau group. Funaki says flood-prone areas should be aware of flash flooding.
Heavy rain and the flood that comes with it, especially for low-lying flood-prone areas, is expected to persist for the next couple of days, especially until Saturday.
If you feel unsafe where you are, move to an evacuation center. These centers will be run and maintained in the same safe and hygienic fashion we saw during Cyclone Harold.
Flood alerts remain in force for the Mba River, Korovo Town River, Waimanu River and Bangata catchment in Vanuatu. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
The Ministry of Employment is investigating certain employers who have reduced hourly rates as COVID-19 has begun to affect their businesses. The ministry has so far received 305 complaints against employers for non-payment of statutory leave and other entitlements under the Employment Relations Act 2007. Koroi Tandulala with the details.
The Ministry of Employment says the nature of complaints ranges from shift works to reduced hours.
There are two major companies that is a real problem for us, and we are working with them. We want to see that there is some understanding that works out well for both parties. It has to be a balancing act. The issue is the reduced rate, hourly rate, yeah. That is the real issue. And as far as we are concerned, we're not going to allow that.
Minister Praveen Kumar says they're also receiving complaints that some employers are forcing workers to sign an agreement that puts them at a disadvantage.
The issues that we are facing right now is that some of the workers have already signed the agreements between the employer and employee. If you are not happy with it, if you are not comfortable with the agreement that has been given by the employer, you should go and talk to our staffs at the respective ministry office.
Out of the 305 complaints received by the Employment Ministry, over 150 have been solved.
I met last week with one of the hoteliers in Lotoka. They said that their workers have utilized all the entitlement, that is in terms of leaves. Now they are paying a certain sum for their workers for survival.
The minister wants that reduced hourly rates is an offense they will not take lightly, and they're working with some employers for ways of lessening the impact of COVID-19 by proposing reduced work hours, job sharing and usage of leave entitlements. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
Fiji's 9th COVID-19 patient, Mohammed Sahid, believes it was the prayers of the nation that healed him and his wife. The couple have tested negative for the virus for the 3rd time now and are back home after being discharged from the Lambasa hospital. Speaking to FBC News from his home in Soa, Sahid says he had gone for a religious gathering in India last month to learn how to preach and conduct prayers and didn't know he was carrying the coronavirus back into Fiji. He adds that it wasn't until he had reached Lambasa that he felt ill and took himself straight to the hospital. The 57-year-old says the days that followed were not easy, having to go through strict health checks and measures and being in isolation. He adds that was even more stressful were countless posts and comments on social media publicly ridiculing him, his family and his religion. Sahid says he will not dwell on the negativity as he has moved on. The leader of the Social Democratic Liberal Party, Sitiveni Rambuka, has confirmed they will appeal the High Court judgment, which declared the annual general meeting of June 2019 invalid. Rambuka says he has received 2 letters from the Supervisor of Elections, Mohammed Saneem, and also met with Saneem yesterday to discuss the judgment of the High Court. He has now confirmed that the party will file an appeal. According to the SIDALPA leader, this is being done because the High Court declaration has set a precedent that may affect other political parties and also has implications on the law regarding meetings of associations. Rambuka adds that his priority as party leader is to ensure that the annual general meeting is to be held in June once COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. The lowest number of arrests were recorded in the last 24 hours since the COVID-19 restrictions were imposed. Only 4 individuals were arrested for breaching curfew hours, while there were no reports of social gathering breaches. 2 cases of curfew breaches were recorded in the south, while the north and west recorded 1 case each. Commissioner of Police Brigadier General Sitiveni Gilio says while the decrease in the number of social gathering breaches was anticipated, given the relaxation of restrictions, Fijians cannot be complacent. Up ahead, Fiji marks World OHS Day and Thamavoy Y Bridge delayed. Stay with us.
Natang go aprosan ngarse go erkraki do televe ono barong na Radio Fiji 1 nantomi bit
Radio Fiji 1.
Ensuring the safety and well-being of all employees from COVID-19 is of paramount importance. Marking the 2020 World Occupation Health and Safety Day, International Labour Organization says the impact of coronavirus will result in millions of people losing their jobs. Koroi Tandalala with more.
The pandemic has already affected both essential and non-essential industries, with thousands of people in Fiji already losing their jobs.
We are working with employers for ways and means of lessening the impact on employment, proposing reduced work hours, job sharing, and the use of leave entitlements.
In addition to unemployment and underemployment, the crisis has also an impact on working conditions, wages and access to social protection, with particularly negative effects on specific groups that are more vulnerable to adverse labor market outcomes.
The International Labour Organization estimates that the impact of COVID-19 on global economy will result in the loss of $1 trillion.
ILO estimates that about 25 million could become unemployed, with a loss of workers' income of as much as $3.4 trillion US.
Since the confirmation of COVID-19, the Ministry of Employment has been working with stakeholders to conduct awareness and protect all employees.
To date, our workplace COVID-19 awareness has covered some 1,536 employers with 9,989 workers, covering all the essential and non-essential industries.
The Ministry of Employment is calling on employers to follow the laws and regulations to ensure workers are not denied their rights. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
A 52-year-old man has died in a house fire this morning. The incident happened in Levuka Indako village in Matuku, Lao. It's believed the man was trapped inside the corrugated iron house and could not escape the blaze. Police are investigating the incident. There is further delay in the completion of the WYCLIFFE bridge outside Suva. The Fiji Roads Authority says work on the bridge is now expected to be completed by June. The initial target was April. However, weather conditions and the restrictions due to COVID-19 caused delay. The bridge identified is a major link between the capital city and Lami along the Queen's Road. Chief Executive Jonathan Moore says there were issues with bridge piles, which also delayed the project.
There was a problem with one of the piles on the Lami side. That was rectified, the pile was replaced. The pile cap was constructed and that slowed us down. We maybe lost a month on that one. And it's something we didn't want to have to do, but we don't take the risk on the abutments to bridges. The abutment is the key part of the bridge to make it stable. That has to be correct.
The struggle of accessing water is now a thing of the past for the farming community of Draumasi in Tavua. More than 30 families will now have access to a clean and regular water supply with the installation of a gravity-fed irrigation water source project by the Ministry of Waterways and Environment. Maggie Boyle reports.
It's been a long-held dream for the residents of Draumasi, which is now a welcome reality.
Government came first time, the government like this we have seen, and given us the opportunity to make our dam, and we are very happy.
Situated 3 kilometers from the settlement, the rugged terrain has made for challenging work.
It costed us $22,000 to get the water to these 30 households, and if you divide that, it is less than $1,000. It cost us to bring it to each of these households. We will now have fresh, clean water, not only for their household, but to support agriculture growth and agricultural expansion.
Commissioned yesterday, the water supply is expected to boost farming activities.
Biodiversity and water storage, water supply are 2 engines that safeguard your lives, your livelihoods, the economy, the agriculture, and everything that surrounds it. So it's very, very important.
The project took a little over a year to complete. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Turning overseas, as countries around the world wrestle over easing lockdown measures, a new report warns COVID-19 could be even more contagious than previously thought. Scientists have found the virus in particles of air pollution in major industrial areas. And it's business time now with Whitney.
Thanks, Jackie. In business tonight, support pours in for food bank initiative. And delays to refurbishment of FNPF Plaza. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Karavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
The Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission is overwhelmed with support from individuals and private sectors towards its Veilomani Food Bank initiative. So far, over 100 families have been assisted under the program. FCCC Chief Executive Joel Abraham says the initial focus is to assist families in lockdown areas. The food bank received a cash injection from Digital Fiji this morning.
A little that you give goes a very long way, especially for people who have small children, elderlies that are really struggling, and I can't emphasize that more. Last week we dispatched 137 packs to 100 to Sosoa in Lambasa and the remaining here in Suva.
The food court at the FNPF Place in Victoria Parade, Suva, is currently undergoing a major facelift and is not expected to open anytime soon. The renovation work on the premises, commonly known as Dolphin, started last year. Fiji National Provident Fund Chief Executive Chochi Koroi says the COVID-19 pandemic has also had an effect on renovations as there were delays sourcing materials due to the China lockdown. Koroi says there is no time frame on when the eatery will open.
We're now beginning to receive items that will continue to work on this. At this stage, we haven't got a firm date at this stage, want to make sure that all the materials are there before we announce the date.
As part of the renovation, a modern look will be given to the food court and the building's main entrance. New Zealand and Australian Prime Ministers want to create a trans-Tasman bubble by axing border restrictions between the two countries. Such a move is aimed at cushioning the effects travel restriction is having on the tourism sector. We now join Gary from HFC Bank with the latest in the money markets.
Japan's March jobless rate rose to its highest in a year, while job availability slipped to a more than 3-year low. Official data showed the COVID-19 outbreak and containment measures caused the nation's job market to ease. While Japan's comparatively low jobless rate is the envy of many nations, rises in the politically sensitive figure could lead to calls for Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's government to do more to stimulate the economy. Meanwhile, the Aussie dollar tested 6-week highs today as signs of progress in reopening economies helped the risk-sensitive currency recover most of the panic selling seen in March. Besides the Aussie, Kiwi dollar was subdued, weighed by a particularly aggressive stance from its central bank. The British pound was steady as Prime Minister Boris Johnson warned it was too dangerous to relax a strict lockdown in Britain. While some investors believe the worst may soon be over for the world economy, the Commonwealth Bank of Australia said there were still plenty of reasons to be cautious. And that's all from HFC Bank for now. Vinaka.
Turning to today's exchange rates as set this morning, the Fijian dollar remained strong against the Chinese yuan, US dollar, the PNG kina and the Japanese yen. It also gained on the New Zealand dollar and the euro, while falling slightly against the Australian dollar. Onto the commodities market, the price of crude oil fell to close at $10.86 per barrel. Gold was down slightly to $1,702 per ounce, while silver fell to $15.06 per ounce. That's it from Business Tonight. Back to Jackie with the latest in sports.
In sports tonight, sporting activities remain suspended. And Fiji FA hopes suspension is lifted soon. This and more coming up.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The Ministry of Health has confirmed that all sporting activities will remain temporarily suspended. This includes events organised by sporting bodies, as well as those organised at community levels by community members. The ministry says this is in line with the measures announced by Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama to contain the spread and local transmission of COVID-19. Fiji currently has 7 active cases of COVID-19, as 11 patients have successively tested negative and have been discharged from the health facilities. The ministry says Fijians should not be complacent and should continue to take heed of the COVID-19 measures. The Fiji Football Association is hopeful that local competitions can begin by June. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the association has lost more than $1.8 million as major income-generating tournaments have either been postponed or cancelled. Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says once competitions resume, the national team can also begin its preparations.
The way things are going with Australia and New Zealand now showing signs of great improvement in the island countries which are free of this pandemic. We are hoping for the best, and we hope these competitions will start maybe mid-June or early July. And if that happens, then the national teams will be playing in the World Cup qualifiers later in the year.
The Oceania Football Confederation were initially scheduled for May 6th, but has been revised due to the current crisis. Plans to resume the Premier League season will step up this week in what has been labelled Project Restart. Australian Rugby League officials say they're disappointed at the actions of 2 NRL stars during lockdown. The stars were pictured flouting social distancing rules with a large group. It came on the same day the league revealed strict new health and safety rules. Coming up in the world of the weird and the wonderful, Swedish man finds a strange way to pay tribute to the fight against COVID-19. Details after the break.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
And Angie joins us now with the latest in weather.
Hello to you and welcome to the rainy world. The rain is not joking. It's been intense due to the low pressure system. A lot of low-lying areas have been subject to flooding. You have to be really careful, and maybe you could check on your neighbor as well. Now, looking to the west, less sunshine and more of this pouring liquid. The temperatures have fallen back as well in the longest time. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, heavy showers with thunderstorms on the weather menu. And up north, the low rain clouds will pave way for more showers later tonight. At sea, southeast winds will be between 25 to 30 knots, rough seas. Turning to the tides, high tide at 10:41 p.m. with low tide at 4:29 a.m. Sunrise at 6:19, that is if we get to see it. For tomorrow, heavy showers are projected to start tonight and will continue into the morning. Take your warm wear and umbrellas if you're thinking of stepping out. Tomorrow's temps, all temps will drop to be cool. Suva and surrounding areas will be a bit more cooler. And looking further on to Thursday, by now you perfectly know what's in it. Definitely no sunshine. That's all the rainy picture from my end. You enjoy your evening. It's back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fiji Impulse tonight, we ask, what do you think of Fiji's COVID-19 recovery rate?
I'm really pleased with our recovery rate, all thanks to our health officials for their hard work.
The ministry is doing a great job.
Our recovery rate is really fast, and hats off to the government, especially their nurses and doctors.
I think our success has been really good. 11 people recovered is not bad at all.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, a Swedish man gets an epidemiologist's face tattooed on his arm because he's a fan of his approach to the COVID-19 pandemic. Recapping the main stories for tonight, employers investigated for allegedly depriving workers. Lambasa couple recount COVID-19 ordeal, and 52-year-old dies in house fire. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question this week we're asking, is the timing right to relax the curfew hours and resumption of domestic sea and air travel? Visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day. With all the rain, this is a welcome. A calm sunset in Yaro village in Malolo, sent in by Talitha Tami. And be sure to show us what you've been up to during the lockdown and movement restrictions. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. Share it with us via Facebook page, FBC News, and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, Molamanda.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.